So when you're buying from auctions, it's not always the case whereby you're buying it at a discount.
When you are actually going to be auctioning or buying a property on auction, it's important for you to go see the property before you actually auction or start bidding, right? Right. So the question was that somebody is going to be purchasing a property on auction, right?
Yeah.
This week.
Yeah.
So they need advice that what should they actually look out for.
So
I'd like to put in the first one, right? Auctions, especially the ones that we've been through, they have a lot of syndicates, if I may put it in a nice way. I wanted to say something horrible, but they have syndicates that are going on. So now you really need to understand that when you are going to auction, what kind of auction is there, right? So now what I would do at an auction is that I would go prior. I remember the last time we went to an auction, there were groups of people, right? So say for instance, group A, group B, group C. So now these groups know each other. So if they know each other, they know that this week the property is going to be taken by group A. Now the problem is that if you do not know if there's group A, group B and group C, you're going to be sitting in the middle and you're going to be bidding with somebody that syndicate has to take that property. Now if that person is actually in that particular situation and they're bidding against you, now the problem might be that you might be buying the property over the market value. So now the first thing that I want you to do is to get the market value of the property. After getting to understand that what's the market value of the property, you need to understand that what are the auction fees. And now remember, the auctioneer doesn't give you your money back once you've given them. Say for instance, if they're going to be charging you 100,000, what we'll then do is that you give them the 100,000, and if you can't afford the property anymore, you don't get your 100,000 back. So just make sure that with the money that you're actually bidding for, you do have that money. Then the last one is that read the room. If you see something that's really suspicious, syndicate thing going on, then don't bid. But if you do see that everybody's actually bidding and there's no groups, then I think that you should bid. But the most important thing that I'd want to highlight again is that know the value of the property that you're going to be purchasing before you start bidding, because you don't want to be finding yourself in a situation whereby you bought the property over market value.
So I've got 3 points, right? When it comes to buying from auctions, we need to understand, is it a private or public auction? You'll be shocked that there's a huge difference between the two. And to even take it further, when you're buying property from auction, it doesn't.
I like where you're going.
I'm gonna give it to you. So when you're buying from auctions, it's not always the case whereby you're buying it at a discount. Because now if we really get to understand that this is point number 2, me jumping to point number 2. So number 1, understand private or public, and then also understand the terms and conditions with both. Whether if it is going to be a default situation, because I know all the time we're thinking about winning. However, now if let's just say that either you're taking it via the bank or via cash, because I know even with the bank sometimes you might sit with a bond originator, they can tell you that you qualify for X amount, and then now when you were bidding, it fell into that bracket. So now only to find out, because now the tricky part with the auction is that you bid first and then only you involve the bank. So now that's the tricky part, that it might go either way. So either way, you need to be prepared of the outcomes. And then number 2, we really need to understand the price, because now here's the thing, right? If it does happen that in that area, houses that have 3 bedroom, the house that we were looking at, it's a 3 bedroom. So now in that area, the houses that are going for 3 bedroom, they are selling at 1.2 million. And then now when we were bidding, we managed to buy it at 900,000. To a normal person, we're all normal, but to a normal person, that sounds like a really good discount, right? However, only to find out now when it comes to the rates and taxes that were owed, the levies that were owed, it's going to bump it up to that original price or even more. I've seen that happen. So that's why we really need to make sure that when it comes to bidding, we really understand in terms of at what price are we going to buy. I mean, I don't know. Like, I remember last time we went to an auction, we had our eyes on this property, we ran our numbers, we knew that we're going to buy it at 600,000, nothing above that. And then when we got there, because it made business sense if we are only buying it at 600,000. If we went to 700,000, we knew that it was going to be a loss. At our surprise, when people were bidding, nobody had a calculator, nobody had a book whereby we were writing numbers. Like everybody's just, and I'm asking myself, where's the numbers? Because maybe we're making it complicated to a sense whereby property investing is a numbers game.
when you are actually going to be auctioning or buying a property on auction, it's important for you to go see the property before you actually auction or start bidding, right? The reason why I'm saying this is that you might be buying a property whereby there's squatters. So that's the worst thing to actually go through, because now you have to deal with eviction. And that's I doubt that that's something that you'd want to go through, right?
Yeah.
So whenever you're going to be purchasing a property on auction, make sure that you go to the property prior, understand what's going on there. If the family is actually willing to move out, if it is tenants, then it's easier than if it's a family. So just make sure that you go to the property prior, and then once you get to the property, try to ask them to view and tell them that you are a potential buyer. If they are willing to understand that they will actually move out, then you can actually bid for the property. But if not, then try not to actually bid for that property, because you might be paying somebody's rent for the next 5 years, man.
You know, when the auction starts, I remember last time we went. So when they're reading the profile of the property, this is what I need you to do. They go fast. They go super fast. So what I need you to do is that at that point, and here's the thing when you go to auctions, remember the guys are talking, man. Guys are making jokes. The guys are talking. And I'm like, but if I'm going to be bidding and I'm not understanding how much is this property owing, I'm literally signing for something that I don't know. So what I'd really urge you to do is that, especially when they're reading the profile of the property, please pay special attention to how much is being owed. So what about when the fees are owed on the owner exceed the value of the property? That's a good question. That's a very good question. At the end of the day, if you are buying a property, ultimately we buy property in a sense whereby I know that if I'm to sell, I still need to make a profit. So at no point will I be buying a property that's overpriced. Because here's the thing, if I'm buying a property in an area, going back to that example, in this area, the 3 bedrooms are going for 1.2 million and I'm buying it at 1.5 million. Already there's a problem, because when I'm to sell, I still need to factor in the expenses that I'll be incurring as a seller. Because now we need to factor in the bank closing the bond. We need to factor in the estate agent, they have to be paid. There are so many situations right now that somebody's going out of a property deal and they are owing 200,000. So that's not something that I'll get into knowingly. So hence, I know that every time when it's below market value, I'm in a very strategic position.
This is the information that I'd need you to actually get before you start bidding, right? Understand firstly, what's the value of the property.
This became an auction live.
Became an auction live. So understand the value of the property first, right? After understanding the value of the property, understand how much you want to purchase your property for, right? After understanding how much you want to purchase your property for, you need to understand how much will your auction fees be. Then, if it's in an estate, know how much that person is owing in terms of their levies, know how much they're actually owing in terms of their rates and taxes. Now, all of these things, you might be buying, say for instance, the property is worth 500,000 and you are buying it at 200,000 and you are saying that I got a discount of 300,000, right? In looking at this might make sense that you got a discount of 300,000, right? Yeah. Now, the problem might be that if those people were actually misusing water in that place, and they were also misusing electricity, and they've never bought water and electricity ever in their lives, this might mean that their electric bill might be getting to 100,000. Now, if it's getting to 100,000, that means that you need to pay that water and electricity. If it's in an estate and they haven't been paying, and it's another 100,000, now you're in 400,000. Now you need to fix the whole property because they left it in a mess. 150,000. Now you're buying the property at 550,000. Now also including your levies, this might actually jack up your prices. So it's important for you to know those 5 things before you actually start bidding, so that you understand that at what price or what is that sweet spot that I need to be purchasing that property at. If you do really want to have another engagement and you want to really speak to us one-on-one, please do send us an email at info@knowwealth.co.za. It is free, so just make sure that you do send us an email at info@knowwealth.co.za. We'll set up a meeting and then let's see how much value we can actually put in your journey.
When it comes to auctions, it's not personal. You should go there understanding that this is my number. I'm not going to be emotional about. Hence, what I also like about what I like about how we go about it is that you've got a lot of options. So if I'm going into an auction knowing that there's 10 properties that I want, I need you to look at the psychological part of this. If I know that there's 10 properties that I want versus the guy who only had that one, hence you see the guy who only had that one is emotional about it. So when it comes to bidding, they'd want to win that property because they only had that one. So please be careful. I know that you did want to sign this time around, but here's the thing with us. We always have a chat with Lebo. It can rather take me, it can take us a good 3 months to find that property rather than jumping into a bad deal this week. I'm not in a rush to buy a bad deal and show off that I've got a property in X in an X area. I'm in a rush to buy a good property because a good property will enable me to scale. And if I'm not buying the right property, it's going to be hard for me to scale because let's just say that I'm making a loss of 1.5 on a monthly basis. Now, the psychological part of this is that if I'm going to be buying the next property, the question that I'm already asking myself is that I'm going to be losing another 1.5. And then will I be able to carry it? Whereas if you're looking at the person who it took him 3 months, he's getting 1.5. He can't wait to jump into the next deal.
Of course.
It's a psychological game.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't look at property in that way because they're just looking at it from the perspective of I've got the bricks, okay, I've got the OTP and I've got a tenant. That's it. It's a psychological game. And you'll understand it once you're banning, whereby you're not getting that profit. It's hard for you to scale.
Hopefully no one burns. So on the 3rd of December, right? On the 3rd of December, anybody who's in and around Johannesburg.
No, not only in and out, man. There was a guy who came through from Botswana, bro. So there's no excuse, man.
If you can
and
make
there's
it.
a lady coming through from Mpumalanga, Limpopo, man.
Yeah. So if you are available, please do write it on your diary right now. On the 3rd of December 2022, we will actually be hosting another workshop. So it will be a live workshop. I enjoy live workshops. I don't know about you, but I enjoy live workshops whereby you get to speak to everybody that did actually come through and exchange notes about being a property investor and also increase your knowledge about property investors. So we'll be having an attorney. We're trying to get an estate agent. He's really powerful, man. And we're also trying to get an accountant to actually come through and speak about property investing from a financial perspective.